Here at the platformer Plaza, my goal is to play every single platforming game, or at least as many as I can, to rate them and see if they're still worth playing. Today we're looking at Suicide Guy, or Sleepin' Guy on iOS. Suicide Guy was released on Steam in 2017 and was developed by Fabio Ferrara and published by Chubby Pixel. The game was $5 on Steam, which fits in the theme of every Suicide Guy game having random prices on every platform. And yes, I said was. Suicide Guy and all of its related games got removed from Steam since Fabio apparently made fake positive reviews for Suicide Guy VR. He said he did this because he had a stressful year with COVID, and since Suicide Guy VR didn't do as well as expected due to problems with some VR hardware that we didn't have and couldn't find a way to fix the bugs present in the game. I would have just put a warning label on the Steam store saying that the game is only compatible with certain VR headsets, but hey, I'm not a game developer, so what do I know? Anyway, back to Suicide Guy. In my opinion, a great platformer is made up of 7 parts: story, controls, level design, collectibles and power-ups, graphics, sound design, and difficulty curve. Now, obviously not every platformer will have an awesome story or a groundbreaking soundtrack, and that's okay. Just think of this as a diet gaming motivation for platformers, where 1 star means it's non-existent or terrible, 3 stars means it's mediocre or good enough, and 5 stars is amazing or a key aspect of the game. The story of Suicide Guy is that you're a man who has fallen asleep watching TV and you accidentally dropped your beer. So, in order to wake up in time to catch your beer, you must enter all of your dreams and kill yourself to wake up, hence the title. I do think this is a clever idea. I always had a soft spot for games that take normal tropes and reverse them, like Kill the Plumber. It's not like the story is extremely deep or anything, but the idea itself is enough to carry it. Plus, you do kill yourself in a decent amount of ways in this game. So for the idea of the story as it ties into the gameplay, I would give it 4 stars since it is unique. But if you want a rating on the literal story, then 1 star. I cannot tell you how much I hate the controls in this game. Moving around is fine, but whenever you try to move an object, it's locked in a certain orientation. It doesn't follow your camera, it follows your character. So if you want to move a block in front of you, you have to reposition your entire body before you can place the block where you want. Climbing is also terrible. I often found myself bouncing off of walls instead of climbing them. You also can't climb when holding objects, which makes the game needlessly difficult with trying to move blocks back and forth. You also have some puzzles where you have to use items to interact with the environment, like here where you have to use a wrench to fix these pipes. I shouldn't have to be so precise with this. There's another level where you're on top of a lighthouse and you have to move the light around to different parts of the map. To do so, you have to run into these beams on the side of the light to change its direction. Why can't I just grab the thing instead so I don't keep slipping and running past it every time? I give the controls 1 star. The level design in this game is all over the place. Some felt like a lot of time and effort was put into making the level fun, even though most levels are just spoofs of other popular pieces of media like Portal, Mario, and... is this the house from The Simpsons? However, an equal amount of levels also felt like they had no effort put into it whatsoever. I glitched the forklift level in about 5 seconds and couldn't legitimately get past that level, and sometimes you can just ignore what the game wants you to do and beat a level early. Here, they very explicitly want you to use all 3 blocks that you find throughout the level to make a bridge to the pipe, but I did it in 2. I also just got stuck on a couple levels. There's an office level where you start off right next to an open window, and since some other levels lasted about 5 seconds, I thought you could break the window and jump out. No. That one open window you spawn in front of is something that has to be closed. You instead have to use this computer, which then breaks and sets off the sprinklers. Then you have to plug this mouse hole and drown yourself. Some levels like the Mario one also require an insane amount of backtracking to get other blocks, which requires you to carry the block right in front of your face the entire time because of the controls, so you can't see anything and you just have to make blind leaps of faith. But I did really enjoy the variety in levels, and for that I'll give the level design 3 stars. There are no power-ups or unlocked abilities in this game, and the only collectibles are the Suicide Guy statues. There's one on every map, and sometimes they're a tiny bit out of the way, and other times they are impossible to miss. There's no real challenge in finding most of them, and there's no real incentive either. Also, this is a game where the entire point revolves around killing yourself. Maybe the developers could add multiple ways to die in each level. That would offer so much more in terms of replayability and could add extras to unlock depending on how many unique ways you died, like skins or even bonus levels. I mean, if they can make a show about 1,000 ways to die, I imagine they could have done something similar here. I give the collectibles 1 star. I do appreciate the graphics in this game, and I feel like the best level to showcase this is the temple level. The runes at the bottom of the walls, the grass growing through the cracks in the ground. The game has a nice cartoonish style that I think fits very well with what the game is trying to be. And with the wide variety of levels, it definitely feels like they are unique levels and not just reskins of the same area. Some parts did look off though, like some walls just being one textureless single color, and some screens having little to no detail. And to be honest, I don't think graphics are the main selling point of this game, but I'm also not exactly going in this game expecting Van Gogh or anything. I'm kind of torn between 3 and 4 stars, but since I've been relatively harsh on the game so far, I'll give this part 4 stars. Each level in this game has a different soundtrack. That might sound nice, but some of the music just felt like it was made just to drive you crazy by repeating the same short loop over and over and over again. Plus, the game's audio sliders don't work. It doesn't matter if they're on the left, middle, or right. The game volume does not change. The sound effects were fine most of the time. Sometimes your guy would make random grunts out of nowhere, but on the spaceship level when you were going through space, the game got so loud that I had to turn off my headset. Not lower the volume, turn off my headset. And for that, the sound gets 2 stars. Suicide Guy's difficulty curve is all over the place. One level could take you a literal 15 seconds to complete, and the next level could take you 10 minutes. And it's not because the game is really making you think about what you have to do on each level, it's because you either have to do a ton of running back and forth, or you have to make a lot of very simple jumps. In one level, you have to cook and eat this dinosaur egg, which requires you to put it in these lasers, then microwave it, then put it on the stove. But I failed so many times because I wasn't quick enough. In another set of levels, the first one requires you to explore this abandoned temple. You run through a long level with buttons that open doors, gives you access to platforms, a slingshot you have to use to open levers, and it takes a while to beat. The next level requires you to attach these wires to the statue, then you gotta run up the longest flight of stairs ever, hit a button, push a lever, run down the longest flight of stairs ever, and wait until the statue decides to crush you, I guess? Then in this next level, the portal level, I'm still not sure how I beat it. I was just testing the portal gun out and I accidentally won. There's no rhyme or reason to the difficulty and length of each level, and in some cases it gets easier and shorter as you go on, so I give the difficulty curve 1 star. In the end, Suicide Guy is obviously a game made by an indie developer group, and I really like the idea of the game. But honestly, the actual gameplay and levels themselves bring down the overall feel of the game so much that it's hard for me to recommend it. If the concept is intriguing to you, then you might be able to find something fun here. But between the randomness and the actual difficulty of the game, levels that were extremely difficult to beat due to technical issues, and just lackluster level design as a whole, I honestly didn't really enjoy my time playing this game. Even at $5, I think the game is too expensive for how broken it is. Long story short, I think Suicide Guy is only a game for people who are fans of this idea, or they just want a cheap game to play with for an hour or two. Suicide Guy gets 2 out of 5 stars. Anyway, I hope to see you all again next week. Peace out.